Paranormal 411, coming to you from an undisclosed location deep within the Appalachian Mountains, with your hosts David Reagan and Jason Scott, bringing you the unknown. You're listening to Paranormal 411. All right, welcome to Paranormal 411. How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Pretty good.
Gonna have a good show tonight.
Oh yes, we got Michelle Welch going to be joining us here in just a minute. And what's she going to be talking about, Dave?
Well, she said that she's writing another book, and she's wanting to talk about a little bit tonight about some fake psychics and mediums and stuff. I'm really interested in this. I'm also interested in all of her jet setting she's been doing a lot here lately. That seems like a lot of fun. I think she's been out running amok with Dave Schrader, I think. And stuff. So yeah.
So we do have Roger.
We got Roger
in the
house.
studio with us.
Hey guys.
Going to be doing some commentary, maybe.
That's right. Hey, we do have a book if you want to go buy it. It's in Amazon. Look for East Tennessee Hauntings and Lore. It's a great little coffee table book. You could also find us at paranormal411.org, Paranormal 411 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We're also on Saturday nights at 10 p.m. Yep, that's tonight on WDJY-FM. You could go to WDJYFM.com to listen to us. You could also go to paranormal411.org, and the link is there to listen to the WDJY also. We're also on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Join us. And next week, Michelle will be... this episode will be on WDJYFM.com. So if you miss it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you miss it, you can catch the first hour.
Yep.
On that channel.
Yep. Definitely.
So
check it out.
You got anything else?
Nothing.
So you want to go ahead and bring her on?
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's bring Michelle on.
Let's have fun. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Hey.
Good.
Doing good.
Ready for this awesome talk.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, be cool. Don't get anybody in trouble. Don't say anything that you don't get emails about. But yeah. No, I'll take it. But yeah, I talk about this subject. I teach ethics a lot at my stores. So I have 3 stores, and so we hire a lot of psychics, right? Whatever kind of psychic work they do. And I teach ethics, and they're required to take ethics. As a lawyer, I only have to take 15 hours a year for continuing legal education. Mm-hmm. And for continuing psychic education, whatever you want to call it, at our store, Soultopia, they have to take about 25 hours of continuing education. So more than what I have to do to stay a lawyer. So I take it pretty seriously.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah. I mean, ethically, some people are in a spot to where they want to hear something from somebody that says that they are and have the gifts. And if someone is convincing enough, whether they can or can't, they could take a lot of people's money.
Yeah. I've heard the stories. Not me, but and I don't even like to say my clients because they don't belong to me. People that have come to see me, and that maybe come on a regular basis. And the biggest thing, really, and I don't know if you want to dive into this, but we're talking about the business I'm in I guess it could. I'm sitting here thinking, would it parlay over? I think these ethics apply to everything, whether it be paranormal investigations or something, especially when we're dealing with people's emotions. If somebody's in someone's house, anything like that. I think when we're talking about, and people are hanging on our every word because they're desperate for what we have to say sometimes, I think it could apply to any area of the, things that aren't, not, you can't prove, right? So you say, or not, I guess you can more maybe in the investigation with tools and things like that. But when they're just listening to what I have to say, or somebody that reads for my stores have to say, I am very careful that people not play on people's emotions. And one of the biggest things I say is be ready to tell people, I'm just not getting anything. I'm okay with being wrong. I'm not attached to the outcome. It's fun to get that aha, attaboy on the back, and that you did a good job. I work cases too. I have permission to talk about 2 of those cases, but I work a lot of cases with the DAs in town, 2 different DAs and counties. And 2 of them I could talk about in my book, Spirits Unveiled. I talked primarily about one, but that's another ethical area where it's just very, you're talking, these are people that are really, it's really, really, especially if we're talking about mediumship, they're really people who hang on your every word of what you're saying. And I just cannot stand it when I see people, and it's going to sound judgmental, and I guess it is. And maybe they say about me too, but when I sit there and I'm watching and I'm just going, this is a bunch of bull. It happened recently. My good friend is, she's Lakota, and she lives in South Dakota, and she's Lakota, and she was with me. And I won't say too much because I don't want to give away who I'm talking about. And so I was just sitting there in this gallery, and my Lakota friend's next to me, and she's a cool. I mean, she's embracing. They just moved back on their reservation and all that kind of stuff. And so she's listening, and she doesn't give much away with her face. Well, I do. I mean, like I said, somebody says something I don't agree with it, I'm like, no. Well, she just, I mean, not the blank, excuse me, the blank face. And she, but I'll just be like, yeah, what? And so all of a sudden, people are looking at me, and I'm like, why are they looking over at me? And she said, because you're using your outside voice. And I'm like, oh, that wasn't my inside voice. And she said, yeah. And she said, you know what? I think you need to leave the room. And so my own friend kicked me out of the thing we were in, and she told me,
oh no.
yeah. And it's not, I usually am very supportive of, literally, I try to support everybody that does the work that we do, because whether it be intuitive work or mediumship, and I basically think it's the same thing. I'm not a spiritualist. So a lot of people who are in that, no offense to the people who are, I'm just not so long. That group spiritualist, this is how you do it. I've just done it since I was little, so nobody said this is how you do it to me. And certain things that people go about doing things, and I'm not trying to judge them. I'm just, if it doesn't ring true to me, I know later it didn't ring true to other people. I just know some of the tricks and that people do. And I will tell you that from the legal point, the biggest way you can get in trouble is fraud. Being fraudulent in whatever you're doing, and fraudulently charging, saying you're going to do something that you're not doing. And so I'm just really careful to be honest with whomever I'm reading for. If it's one person, if it's 5 or 6 people, I just did a group of 5 or 6 people that I did mediumship for probably this last week, or a big huge gallery. The 5 or 6 to me are the hardest, but I'm always very honest with them where I'm getting my information, or if I'm actually getting any information. Yeah.
We have a question from, I think it's Louise.
From Australia.
Yeah, she's from Australia.
Okay.
She wants to know, do you find when working with these spirits, you need time afterwards to gain your energy back?
It's a great question, because a friend of mine just worked on her first missing persons case or whatever. I mean, it's a friend, and she was like, I'm so drained after. I do not always, but what I do is, it's such a good question, is even if I don't feel that way, I tell myself, you may not think you feel that way, but you do. To recharge, you need to clear yourself. You need to because it can drain you. Depending on the energy being you're working with, some will drain you more than others. But even if I feel like, oh, I'm okay, I still will go through my kind of clearing and the things that I need to do to kind of replenish myself. So it's a great question. The answer is yes, usually. And just assume that you're drained even if you don't feel like you are. That way you'll do the things to keep yourself healthier. It's a great
Makes
question.
sense. We was talking before the show about us being at the Chickamauga battlefield in Georgia, and we got out in a spot, and I didn't walk, I don't know, maybe 10 foot away, and I felt dizzy. I got dizzy, sick to my stomach. I felt like I was going to throw up, and I felt like 100-pound weight was on my neck. And, I mean, it just felt and the battlefield itself felt heavy anyway to me, right? Like, I could just feel this weight of this battlefield.
Right.
And, but, you know, I didn't catch anything EVP wise or anything else, but I felt something. I just felt it. And, I didn't know if that's, just something being a little sensitive to the area because of what it is or what. Do you maybe know what that might have been?
I think it could be a little bit of both, but no offense of not. I'm learning about the EVP things and all that.
Yeah,
I'm no expert in that, but to me, you don't have to have that. Let's say nothing popped up on that.
right.
I still know because I see them and felt them since I'm young. I'll be where people are using there and they're like, oh, there's nothing around here, and I'm thinking, how you don't see like right. So, and I'm
Right,
not sarcastic, but I'm being.
right,
And then, but then if they ask me to use their modality, their form of like I'd be like, what do I do? I have no idea. So I'm making fun of. It's just a different way of doing it. But I think definitely, you were probably drained by the energy. I
yeah,
residual energy. The residual imaging can drain, but probably if you were that drained, the heaviness of that area, you're just very sensitive to it, and you pick up on it, whether an EVP picks up on it or not. I think there's probably stuff around you too. There were probably spirit beings around you, and I would always clear after that. To be honest, I'm not saying I always remember, and then I pay for it later. But if you feel that heaviness, I 100%. It's the land itself, right? And then
mhm,
the land and the energy it's holding, but it's also the land as just an entity itself. And it happened, and layer upon layer upon layer on that land. So you're feeling a whole lot. And I think that it'd be unusual not to feel it
okay.
at all. Yeah, where you are.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough for a little while.
See, that's the difference between me and David. I couldn't s- sneak up on a ghost or a spirit. I just don't get that. I've seen it. I've not actually seen it, but I've witnessed it on equipment and maybe a few shadows I've seen out of the corner of my eye, but that's about it.
They're
But
around.
I think I did hear a horse though
Yeah.
when we was
Oh,
down
cool.
there, but that's about it for me.
Yeah. So they're around you though. I find that there's this exercise I have people do in my mediumship class. It's in my that same book, Spirits Unveiled, and it's where it's kind of off the subject, but it's where you fill out a thing, kind of like you fill out if you were thinking, okay, do I want to be with this person for the rest of my life? I'm going to go to this counseling thing. I'm going to see like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite song? What do you like to do? I like to fish. So if somebody doesn't like to fish, well, they're probably not going to want to. And I like sports. They're probably not going to want to be with me. So, but it's a thing like that, but it's like a blueprint or a karmic contract of how you'll meet up with your significant. You can do it with anybody, and you ask them, so you pre-plan and preset ahead of time. Like, let's say I'm gonna, pass, And I told y'all, okay, well, my favorite scent is coconut, and it's actually copper tone. So if you smell copper tone around and you're like, I'm feeling kind of weird, then that might be Michelle. And so, or if you hear this song on the radio so many times, that may be Michelle. And people love that that activity with their loved ones, because why do we have to kind of speculate? Why do we? It takes that. It gives us a contract beforehand, as instead of having to speculate. Okay, was I really feeling Michelle, or is that just my imagination? Well, if something 3 times comes on the song without with I'm sorry, but it's Elton John for me. Elton John comes on 3 times, or Stevie Nicks in a song, then you can know I'm probably trying to get through to you. Is this what is it, Slim Shady or something? I'm like, well, I won't even know what that is if that comes on. And so he's like, that's the point. But so this it's a really cool thing. I believe you can pre-arrange. I'm gonna try and get in touch with you too. And I've never really had seen that before. And I just one time
Yeah, that the talking about the book Spirits Unveiled, when we had you on before and stuff, and I had read through that book. That's one thing that I did really like about the book, though, was the fact that at the end of each of those chapters, you've got that checklist and stuff, and where people could go through and do these exercises and stuff like that. I thought every bit of that was it was awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
I see what smells definitely. Our clair, our sense of our clair, voyance, or it's clear olfactory, or when we smell, it's so strong. I mean, think about it. You can probably, if your mom cooked, which I blew it and didn't cook. I was practicing law and I wasn't cooking. So my kids don't want to come back home because you remember smells, and you remember I smell like this in my grandmother's house because she cooked the best whatever. And so smells are connect, and it's not just mediumship. For me, it's just, and everything's just a different matter. That's why when everybody goes, there's a big difference between mediumship and it's who you're connecting with or trying to connect with is different, but it's really just the frequency that's different. And so we're saying the same things, but I don't think there's that big of a difference. Really, it's just what you're trying to connect with. But that sense of smell is huge. There's like the scent of a rose coming through, and it must be your grandmother. And I know if they said that about my grandmother, it might be, but there's certain things, if they said that about my grandmother, I'd be like, there's no way my grandmother would do that. And that's kind of my standard to change the topic to when I do mediumship is if I would get mad at somebody about something they'd say about, I called her great mama. She lived to be 106.
Wow.
And if me that I knew was not her, I want to be the kind of medium and the kind of have the ethics where I won't ever have that situation, and to where I'm speculating about someone's loved one, because everybody would be speculating about my grandmother. An example is if somebody told me, well, yeah, your grandmother, she was like fishing and one got loose and she started cussing. I'd be like, she would never say a cuss word in her life. Really, when I first meet people, one of the things I suggest ethically is to unless they've really been, a lot of people are really recommended to me, and then I don't want to waste their time, but I'm like, okay, do they trust me already or do they not? I will try to get some strong validation of who it is, but it takes a little longer sometimes of who I'm talking to. So that just made me think about that too. So I always use my great mama as the standard for that. Of how I'd want.
So do you have any other ways that you could tell if somebody's really true to what they're saying, and instead of somebody just blurting out stuff, and I don't know, do you have any tricks?
I do. So here's why I give my disclaimer. My disclaimer is that I don't know everything by any means. I mean, please. Not trying to be ugly, because I'm sure there's times people have listened to me and maybe I'm having a hard day or a hard time. My channel's busted, right? It's just like, what
Right.
happened? I mean, but
I got a clear channel.
I mean, it's like there's no clear channel
Yeah.
today. Is busted. I'm not sure what's going on, but y'all, some of the things. So I'm not trying to be judgmental, but some of the things that I don't like that people do. One of the things is, if you haven't asked for a past life reading, okay, and you're getting you're going and you really want some information on, let's say you had a best friend who passed in a car accident, and you want to know about that situation. You want to know a little bit more about it. And then all of a sudden the reading starts getting everything. Just, you're going, no. I mean, if you're really being honest, you're going, no, that doesn't sound right. No, that doesn't sound right. And then they all of a sudden they go, well, you know what? That must be a past life. That to me is a real okay, no, but we weren't talking about a past life. I didn't ask you about past life. So it's real easy to say, oh, it must be past life or future life or parallel life, which honestly it could be. But to use that and it's excuse kind of to get around being wrong, as opposed to just saying, then it seems like I'm not connecting there. So that's one of them.
Yeah.
Another is, I have seen this where they blame the loved one that has passed. Let me explain. So they're saying things, and they're saying, okay, I'm picking up this about your grandmother. I'm picking up this. And the person's kind of going, no, not really. No. And then they go, oh, you know what, Jason, you are really psychic. That is a trick. And intuitives do it too. And now sometimes people that sit at my table or sit at my desk across from me are really psychic. But when that comes out of their mouth after they've been striking out and striking out, and then, you're really psychic. To me, that's a big red flag, because people sometimes want to hear that, right? The other thing that they'll do is they'll, and again, it could be legitimate. Jason's probably really psychic, but they're doing it to try to flatter him because they're wrong. They're striking out. Strike 1, 2, 3. Okay, you're psychic. Or okay, life. I'm thinking is where they will. So many. And another one person they're reading. They're saying, Michelle, I'm getting this about your grandmother, and I'm like, no. Well, your grandmother's the one telling me this. So they're blaming the deceased loved one. I actually heard this about a month ago, and that's when I kind of had to get up and leave the room, because they are literally blaming the deceased loved one for their faulty information, instead of just saying, I feel like I'm not really connected. So, I need to probably get back with you if I get some more information, or give your money back, or whatever. That's a big one that I had not really seen used before, where you actually blame the spirit you're allegedly connecting with for giving you wrong information. That one floored me, and I saw that one. So it's another one. I don't do mediumship, for instance, when I do galleries. I did one at New Year's, and it was very successful. I will say, I don't care how many times you do it. It's a little nerve-wracking, especially if you really, I just do it cold. That cold reading gets a bad word. I do it like I know no information. And I don't do this thing where, okay, so where you start off, if you go to a gallery, a mediumship gallery, and so a group of people, and they go, okay, I'm going to start off and raise your hand until something's wrong, and then you lower your hand. Well, hello. Everybody's going to raise their hand. Okay, so I'm picking up on somebody who was really maybe in a wheelchair. Okay, no hands are going up. So then the person says, okay, well, they really were just frail and they needed help getting around. Well, like everybody's hands. And so,
Yeah.
and it can be true, but you can just sniff it out. And then, then they say, well, keep your hand up, for as I go through all these things until they get to, and I'm thinking, why don't they just tap in and say, okay, I'm coming over here to you, and I think it's you, David, I think it's over here. David, I don't think it's Jason. I think it's right here. And this is the information I'm getting. Or they can ask me a question, as opposed to having the whole room until it's down to one person. And I've basically fished around for. So that's tricks that people do too, in my opinion. My humble, doing this for, I'm old, a long time opinion. I was shocked to see that people do that way. I have more.
I've seen, too, where like some people get really good at like reading people's body language and their eyes and everything. And you'll see when they're asking questions, they're doing what you're saying, like they're fishing for these answers and they're not quite getting it. But when they start getting closer, they see the person's eyes kind of getting bigger or something. And so, they get really good at reading body language. And I'm wondering if that's something that's done quite a bit too, especially on a
It is.
one-on-one, setting.
It is, and some people will take issue with me on this because I say don't do that.
Right.
Some people be like, watch us when they come in the door. No, that's not a reading.
Right.
And I'll compare it to like picking a jury. I mean, am I helping when I help pick a jury? I try to know nothing. I just want to get an intuitive hit. And a lot of times people, that same friend Lexi that I talked about earlier, she said, I told everybody you're not weird. I was like, well, I am weird. And she goes, no, close your eyes when you're channeling. I will close my eyes a lot of times. I am channeling, but I also close my eyes because I don't want to see somebody. Yeah. And when I teach in class, I tell everybody to have poker faces. Like, do not encourage anybody in any way. In fact, I make people including myself, get up at the front of the room. And the chapter in the third book is turn your back on them. And they have to turn the back on everybody they're reading for. They can't see at all how the person's responding. And just not have an attachment to being right, because it's not about you, that's ego. And just state what comes through. And if you flop, it's okay, you flop. But you're being honest, and you're not being a mentalist or whatever that is, where you're just reading the body language and doing all that, because it's very easy if somebody starts going, yeah, and you pick up on that. I don't want to know a thing, and I really would rather not be looking at them. But that's kind of rude. Like if I turned my chair around and started doing the reading, it's a lot.
Right. Right. Yeah, I could see it like so. So
But yeah, here, let me just turn around.
yeah,
I don't want to look at you.
I don't want to look at you, but and it's not you, it's me. Really, it's me. Not I can't see you, but
It's the past loved one. Blame it on them.
that's it.
But there's also legitimate things. Okay, so there are legitimate things that come through in reading. And if I don't think I said this last time. There's like 4 ways you can do, and I'm not talking about mental mediumship. It's kind of bleeds over in that, but to me, there's like 4 ways I can get information. So I can get information because I actually see or sense, or a spirit kind of steps. I call it stepping forward. A lot of people call it that, and they're like, me, here, pick me, or they're kind of shy, and I will actually get an impression of them. That's one way. Okay. But that's not how a lot of people get it. They'll get a sense of the person. That's another way. And it may be coming from that loved one. A way is they're actually just reading you. Now, I'm about your body language. I'm saying they're just giving an intuitive reading, but they're really not connecting with that loved one. And then the 4th way is they are just sort of reading your mind what you want to know. And it's not wrong. It's just that I believe you should always tell everyone the way you're reading. So if I'm doing a gallery, I'm not going to just say, now here's what your loved one is showing me, unless their loved one is really showing me that. If I'm getting information just because, this is just coming in my mind, and I cannot promise you that I've connected to your loved one, connected with your loved one at this point, but I am. So I'm going to go proceed with this reading, but it makes it a little different because I'm not going to lie sitting here talking to your father who passed. I'm not going to lie and say that. So there's different ways, and they're all legitimate, but I think to be dishonest to a client, I can't stand that. So I will always, if I'm seeing the that was on Dateline and all that kind of stuff, not me, but the case was, and the prosecutor, I don't like to be I don't want to be on the stand. I want to be like the quiet one watching in the back. And so, but it was very much like that when she came through to me. I was reading for a good friend of hers and her family's who was on the search party for her. I hadn't even heard about the case, and all of a sudden it was like pick me, and I totally could describe her, and it was totally different later. Than there were billboards of this person who she was murdered. There were billboards of this person, and they had her, but her hair was a completely different color than I saw it. So she showed me her hair, and as it was blonde, as in that when she came through, literally, she trusted the person that I was reading. It wasn't about me. I was just like I'm just like the telephone, like I'm giving the message, or I'm the newspaper relaying the message. She trusted that person who was getting a reading from me. And that's how it happens a lot for me is, and there's no trickery at all in that. I'm like, wait a second, who is this? Like it's like in school, the gunner kid, like pick me, I know all the answers. I mean, this
Yeah.
person was just, I need to talk to you. I have something you came about. And I had the same thing with a caseworker on a child that went missing here in Dallas. And it happened the day before she'd even gotten the call about the girl being murdered. She was getting a love reading. She'd been a caseworker in that home. She was getting a love reading. I'm seeing this like cement thing, and there's a chiffon. She said, and then her phone rang, and she told me an investigator is going to be calling you. So I that's how I get information a lot of times, and it's really legit. Just kind of off the subject, the other trickery thing that people do is they'll waste police officers' time by calling in because, I think I have they've been into, and this is going to sound judgy, but they've been to maybe a week of intuitive classes, and they think, there's a shallow grave on the side of the road. Well, that takes up those investigators' times because they have to follow all those leads. And so I teach people to not do that, who to call. And I can't even really put it on all my bios. I have permission for a couple to put, and then I work on cases. But ones who really work on them, we really don't usually say much about the cases unless, like, for the book, I got specific permissions, and believe me, a lot of people had to fill out for me to write about it. So I take it very seriously. Do work on a lot of missing persons cases, and it's interesting how sometimes it's not because I'm so great. That's not the fact that they trust the person who's talking to me, and they're like, "Oh, such a cross." Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I think more law enforcement should use, psychics and stuff to try to find missing people and things like that. I really
They
do.
do,
Because I mean,
and yeah,
do
they
they?
do. Well, I will not speak for every. When I started, I worked for the Court of Appeals first and in the DA's office. I will tell you, the investigators get a little jaded because they do get all those phone calls from people that they don't have a rapport with. So if somebody really knows they're gifted in this area, and it actually takes work and practice too. I mean, I say practice makes psychic. It's yeah. And I don't believe everybody has it. And believe me, I wouldn't wish this on Honestly, I'm not kidding. I wouldn't wish it on very many people, to know a lot of stuff that you don't want to know. But the reason they don't use it, they will use it if they find somebody responsible, reliable, but they have a lot of people calling in, like I said, that waste their funds because they have to try the profession, which is another reason I have the ethics classes, is because I want to say we're not going to. I'm even hesitant. Sometimes I'm very careful what I say, and I'm very careful on the one I talked about in the book. I was very accurate on that case, and I was just very, very careful what I said and how I said it, and I didn't watch any news. So it's very clean information.
Right.
Yeah.
No contamination.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Like, when I have clients come, I don't usually know. My assistant or the people who work here, they'll book things for me. I don't even want to know the person's name, even if it's just a regular reading, because I just, not that means I wouldn't be able to do it. I just want it to be as clean of a reading as I can give.
Yes.
And for whatever type it is.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. I had it. I got on the line not too long ago with a friend of mine, and she said, and I can only tell part of this, but that writer's strike, I've never read about it yet, but I was in Portland on TV, and they said, "Oh, you predicted the writer's strike," and the producer said that, and I was like, "For y'all?" I mean, I was all dinging. She goes, No, but and I was like, how did you find out? I mean, the person she's the film producer. It's a female in LA. And when I got on Zoom, I knew who she was. And I was just, I don't even know. I haven't read yet. End of September, I had predicted the end of September, and for sure sometime during October, but probably at the beginning of October. And a lot of people in that, a lot of people will, even shows that I'm on the business, they were like, "Oh, you are so off on that, Michelle. Everybody's gonna be laughing at you because there's no way that strike will go on that long." Because like she was losing like $1 million a day, and but she course corrected because she knew. And apparently, and so I was like, "Well, how long was I made fun of?" And she goes, "Well, until today." And I was in studio filming to be on TV, and that it just came out that blah blah blah, and I was like, so they've all just been kind of making fun of me. And she's, yeah, I mean, like the whole time just been laughing because there's no way it would have lasted that long, but it did. So I'm like, okay, I don't know, y'all just keep making fun of me, but I just say what I get. That's the other thing, ethically, I don't think people should, unless they're a psychologist or anything like that. I don't like going with the odds.
Mm-hmm.
When I read for people, mediumship too, or just regular readings, like I said, you're going with statistics. I don't like body language. It's really easy for people to just go, okay, well, if he hadn't called me, you've been out with him 10 times, and every single time, you've called it, set it up with him. I'm the celebrity, I'm not making fun of anybody, but and you're kind of chasing him. Why are you asking me? You've done it like 10 times and he's dumped you every time, or she's dumped you every time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're probably going to do it again. I don't go by that.
Right.
I go by what I intuitively. Yeah. And then one time I actually had here in Dallas, I'll be careful on this one, but there's been a couple, and they won't use their real names. And so I don't know anyway, because they'll say, well, first name is here. And we used to have like a sitting area. It's too crowded at this location now to, like a little waiting area. It's kind of nice, but we have too much stuff out there now and in the store. And I went out and I said his real name. I said, so-and-so, are you ready? And he and he still gets readings from me. It's been years. And he said, how'd you know? Did you look up that was my name? And I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. So that's how. And those aren't tricks. Those are just when feel, and that gives validation to the reader. I'm rambling. I was going to tell you one more trick thing. I looked it down. Okay, so a lot of people, and okay, y'all, I have a lot of friends who have cancer right now. So I'm not trying to make fun with this example, but it's short. So a lot of people do have cancer. So if you're getting people, that method that I don't use to raise their hand, okay, do you know somebody who has passed from cancer? Unfortunately, a lot of hands are going to go up. Again, that's not how I do. And then they said this, well, it was a bad cancer. And apparently I said out loud, is there good cancer? And so that's when my friend also was just like, you need to leave. You're rude. And I'm like, rude. I just I didn't mean for that to come out of my mouth. But and the person, I mean, people do have cancer, and that is not like a made up reading. But I was just like, it's just you kind of got to use that that gut check of whether or not you believe what's give any message at all, then give one where I'm feeding people a load of bull. I just would rather say I'm getting somebody else. Yeah.
And I'm wondering, because I kind of get a feeling sometimes, like when I'm talking to people, if they're BSing me or not. And that's not even having to read their body language, because a body language does tell you a lot. But you don't have to read some people's body language to know that they are BSing you a lot. And, I know if I get that feeling, again, I'm just the average person. I do see spirits. I don't hear them. I don't nothing else, but I do see spirits. But if I can feel that, I am sure that a lot of people have that built into them. They just don't listen to it. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think that a lot of people need to understand. If you feel something weird, or you feel that it just doesn't ring true to you, that you should listen to that side of you and say, no, I don't, let's take a step back from this and look at it objectively.
I totally agree. And I do think we all have that in us, so, because we had to instinct all the way to full blown psychic knowingness. There's everything on that psychic spectrum, right? Of knowing, hey, there's a tiger coming, run. I mean, and so, and I do think for me, I'll tell people when I'm talking to them, if something I'm saying to you if you don't agree with it, that is fine.
Right.
But if there's something, put a pin in it, think about it. But if there's something that does not resonate with you, I don't really love that word resonate, but it's a good word to get you there, right? If that doesn't vibe with you, then you know what? Throw it out. If you don't agree with me, because I'm not the be all end all of things. I'm just saying what my answers are. And I'm not trying to be ugly about anybody else. I self to these standards. If all of a sudden maybe that was a past life. I'm like, oh no, Michelle, baloney. You weren't doing a past life reading. You were trying to connect with, Uncle Joe. And all of a sudden you were wrong. So you changed something else. I just can't be that way. So I'm going to out myself usually because I'm just that way. I'll be like, oh, well, I just got to tell you, that's just not true. I don't know why that came out of my mouth. I don't know what. And I'll just sit there and out myself in front of everybody and say, that's baloney. Just like I did to the poor person who I was saying, my gifts, or whatever you want to call them, it was little, really little. I don't remember a time when I wasn't like this. And I thought everybody was like this. I grew up in a very, very religious home. And so it was cast and characterized as a different form. But I would tell people things in my outside voice that should have been kept in my inside voice, because kids don't have filters like we as adults do, and we don't know the right way maybe to say. And I've probably said this before, but like to my uncle, well, like, it feels like you have worms in your brain.
Huh.
And then a month later, he was diagnosed a brain tumor, and blocked. And it's for as long as and I just thought everybody was like me, until I kind of just realized they weren't, and I realized what a weirdo I was. And that's when it comes to what you said, where we kind of just step away from those gifts, and we're like, I just want to be normal. I mean, what normal means, I don't think it. I just want to, and especially like when I was went to undergrad, to college, and then to law school, I didn't want anybody thinking, she's the weirdo that picks up on all the other stuff. I just really did not want to. When I told people later in life again, oh, that makes so much sense. We're so glad you told us. A lot of judges told. They were like, when you're picking juries, you're just weird. We don't get it. But there seem to be good juries. So I just thought I was smart, but really I wasn't. It was all just help I was getting from my guides or whatever. So yeah, but I think a lot of people do Welch it.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the old TV evangelists that get up and they say somebody out there's got heart disease.
It'd be $5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll pray over this rag for you and send it to you. But a lot of people in this world have heart disease. I mean, it's just, that's what it reminds me of when you talk about mediums that don't do their job right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I
fake it.
totally agree. Yeah. Because a lot of them will say, well, okay, it feels like, I'm feeling something here. And again, I feel like I'm being so mean, because I'm going to hold myself to these standards. I do.
Right.
Maybe, I mean, that really makes a lot of people do.
Right.
Pushing really bothers me. I would just rather, so everyone, their heart fails. Stop breathing, your heart.
Right.
And so at some point,
Mhm.
so I remember one time, I just to throw myself in this category, probably about, I don't know, I've been all around it. One time about 11 years ago, I remember I did something, and I had to call the person back because they were calling about, it was a long distance phone call. I sound doing that. It was a long distance. They lived in a different town, and they called, and guy, it's
They had
a
to dial
guy.
1 first.
Yeah, they had to
Where they had a
dial
phone
one.
booth.
And and so I was time traveling because I'm not that old. See, there we go.
That's it. There you go.
That was me in a time situation. But I just kept going, I'm getting this, I'm getting that. And it was just horrible. I mean, I was so not connected to this. And they wanted to know if this loved one had left behind any papers or, anything. They had some business stuff they needed to take care of. I was no more connecting. And I remember it because I just was ashamed of myself. And so finally, I called them back and I was like, I'm giving you your money back. I have not connected. And they were like, well, no, actually, this was true and this was true. And I just said, and that's when just to me, it's just ethical, and they trust me. And that's why it's just the same rapport with anything. Like when you be in court, a judge is going to trust you if they know you're going to be honest when you cite a case to them and you're not just pulling something, making it up. When you're in the court again, they're going to know I can trust that person. I can trust what she's telling me, because they have to keep up with all kinds of law. I can trust that she really did look that up. Same with my clients, the clients who come to see me. they know that I'm going to be honest with them. Somebody just sent me, I do these forecast readings, and she sent me a screenshot of, this is when I'm not happy about it. And they're 5 months, and I just have it on a sheet of paper, and we record them, and they get all this information. They're called forecast readings, and you can get them at any time of the year, but a lot of people do them at the beginning of the year. And I had written for this month, it said something. What is this? On that square, it said new job, we'll keep old job, new job, and then I put war. And it said, literally, she said, Michelle, and she screenshot it and she sent it to me. And I didn't put which war, where it was, but, and, those sorts of things, when it's in writing, I'll go, yeah, that's, I was connected, and that's okay. But otherwise, if I'm not, I'm going to tell people I'm not. And I just wish more psychics or mediums, or whatever they want to call them, we want to call ourselves, would just be really honest about it. If I went onto that battlefield and I didn't feel a thing, I'd be wanting to know, okay, describe how you feel. Tell me why you feel sick to your stomach. Do you sense anything? Do you see anything? I mean, where exactly is it? And if I didn't feel anything, I love it how, you say, but you probably pick things up in a different way. I just think that to bring credibility to our profession, ethics is just so hugely important. Even when, and I feel like the more honest I am with what I do, the better I get at what I do.
That makes sense. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure that the people you do your readings for and stuff like that, they definitely appreciate that too. You
They
know,
do. Yeah.
I mean, I would, if I was
Yeah.
getting a reading and I knew that I could trust that the person that I was getting the reading from would, not BS me.
Yeah. Why? And then you go to the really bad actors. I mean, the really obvious, somebody's charged a client, someone I know, they figure out she has money. They charged her, I don't know, up to $8,000. I'm like, what the blank? I
Yes.
mean, why didn't you come see me? And she's like, well, you've been busy, darling. And I'm like, they can $9,000 me.
Ooh.
I went to growing up, like,
Me too.
I think I was healed
Yeah, I did too.
because I have a lot of weird things that I need to be healed from. But I'm kidding. But I went to those, and because my grandfather was a preacher, and so I think that it seems like more and more people, they'd be like, that I know, because we have these tarot conferences, and it just seems like there's these waves. It goes in waves of what's kind of popular. I've always, quote unquote, done mediumship. I don't necessarily know what to call it. I was younger, and now it seems like, okay, so they're going to use cards for medium. That's okay. They're going to use something to do their mediumship, or to question their methods. But and I'm teaching people, but I at least would appreciate people to learn their craft. I mean, how would y'all feel if somebody starts using all that equipment and they have no idea how to treat your equipment, how to use the equipment properly? They're misinterpreting. This is what I would do. Y'all would have to teach me, which somebody, and talk about that. There needs to be a book on that. Tells about the different, equipment, because I would definitely see that in my store too.
We've got a second edition that's about to come out. We could put something like that in the beginning of it.
Yeah.
I mean, because think about it, if you go on those, but like I maybe have gone as being the sensitive or whatever you want to call me. And I'm like, oh, we're supposed to turn our phones off. Oh, well, nobody told me that. Okay, let me turn my phone off because I interfere. Like the one in one who was like clueless about that because I just do it. So, people just maybe assume people know that and they don't, and how to use those equipment. But you wouldn't, you want people to take your craft very seriously, your profession very seriously. And that professionalism
Yes.
is so important.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, can I ask you a quick question? Is
Anything.
is the Bell Witch in is that in East Tennessee?
Yes, ma'am. Well, it's not in East Tennessee. It's
It's a-
really Middle
It's
Tennessee, but
middle. It's upper middle. Yeah.
yeah, it's right above Nashville, just before the Kentucky line. Yeah.
I
Yes.
read that book. It's this red book that supposedly the family member wrote or something, and that's about
Yes.
I know, but I remember reading and it was red that
Ye-
book, and that's about all I know. But I was like, wait, is that there? Yeah.
Yes, it is. And we have some people that we know that run the tours there,
Oh,
and they've yep, Joseph Bryant said it, Adams, Tennessee. But yeah, and they've invited me to come out and help them run some of those. I haven't never had a chance to do it yet, but yes,
you
that's
should do
definitely,
that. That sounds
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, that's definitely on the to-do list for sure.
And
Because I
come to Goatman Bridge.
yes, I need to go there too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that close to where you live?
Yeah.
In
So Dallas is just like, if you just kind of put yourself in the middle of Dallas, like everything's like 25 minutes is how I look at it. I could be wrong.
Okay.
It might be an hour really, but it's not. But I'm just like, it's going to be about 25 minutes to get there unless you're like in rush hour. So it's in Denton County, and it's not from where I am sitting right now. It's not far at all. And I truly do believe some places, because I just like you'll sense or see. I believe they're around us all the
Mhm.
time. Surprising when they're not around us. At least there was when we walked up to that place. I left. I just went in the mood, to be honest with you. I think it was a football day, but they were doing. My husband was leading one, and there was this armadillo, like right when we got out of the car, and it had those big green flies, like house flies, but they're green, and it had like maggots coming out of it and all this stuff. And I was like,
Ooh.
that's a sign. And it's not so much I was scared, but I was grossed out. And I was like, this is indicative of this area. It is just pestilence. I mean, it's just
Ugh.
when you think of like the spirit of pestilence,
Yeah.
uh, that's what you think of. And right when I'm walking out, and then when you go down past to the other things, because there's a lot of Native American original lands around here in the suburbs. And so you've got that layer of things going on too. And then of course, like I said, the stuff that goes on where people go out and, they get up to no good out there because of the place that it is. And then it turns
Sure.
into a crime scene for different things. But it is just like what you felt, that heavy, heavy, heavy feeling.
Yes.
I felt that too. And I was like, I've been here, done this before. I'm going to get back in the car, and I'm not going to go, and I'm going to go watch football or something, because but it is a place where I really do believe it's not just become a tourist. Let's attract people with this story. I really do. It's layer some pretty important things, and so a lot of activity.
I know. I called my wife yesterday and told her what I felt there and everything, and before I came home, she saged the whole house so I could come home and help release that off of me.
we,
Uh,
we it comes in and gets storage, and smells really good. So people fill it with that whatever water. Like today we got, but and whatever crystals. And anyway, this one lady comes in. She goes, "I need my spray," and we're like, "Well, we always run out of it, but let's see if we have it." And she goes, "No, the boys have come home from high school, and I chase them down the hall with it before they get in their rooms.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right? Is it just because it smells good, or you really think that they need to be cleared? Both. Both needed to be
I may
cleared.
need some of that for my 2 kids.
It works.
No, that's funny. That's hilarious. I like that.
Yeah.
My wife might actually buy some of that stuff.
Yeah.
It actually smells so good. Our sprays and stuff smell really good. When I was on those trips, I had one called, it was in a little bottle called Aura clearing and chakra balancing. And I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to like the smell of this. Well, every time we got back on that bus, I was breaking that spray out because it's just light enough that nobody would complain. And I was spraying it, and then I'd pass it back in the bus, and I'd be like, am I getting my spray back? And it'd come back. Every time we got on the bus, certain people wanted that spray. And same thing. I think they did it because it works, but I also think they wanted just the bus to not stink. So,
Did it smell like 100 sweaty tourists?
probably. I mean, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, especially when I had a kidney stone in the middle of the check.
Oh,
And
no.
yeah, we were told for 2 hospitals, there's no, it was sunflowers on both sides. Am I in Kansas? You know, it's what it looked like. But it was the Czech Republic, middle of nowhere. I had no idea where I was. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, crud. I'm about to give birth to a kidney stone baby. And so I told the lady in charge, there's 37 people on that bus. And so I said, I think there's going to be a truck stop up here. Now, I'm going to tell myself that I manifested that truck stop into existence, but I'm sure it was really there. And they just didn't want to stop. But they get on and they're like, go to the bathroom, to go to the bathroom. And like no one says yes, no one raises their hand. And then I come out of that thing, giving birth to that kidney stone.
Oh.
Y'all are liars. Yeah, none of y'all raised your hand. I used to go to the bathroom. And I was like, then I got the question, because it's one of those, sorry, this is gross, but you know, the things where to conserve water, you push 1 or 2. And
Oh, yes.
did you get the, and you really, you're kidding me, right? No, I'm not. So, but really, like I was really in the Czech Republic going to dig my hand. No, no. But anyway, that's one of my memories I will cherish forever. And it was so not one person on that bus needed to go to the bathroom, and I come out, and they're all in line looking at me like, we all heard you, and they're screaming and crying. I'm like, yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible.
Well, hey, you know what? You walk the journey, because I see somebody not good for you to drink. That's just not it. But probably if I'd had beer and then all that walking, yeah, if you want to get rid of a kidney stone, that's where you do it, I guess. And then, you know, with 30 people waiting in line for you to go to the bathroom who didn't need to go.
Hey, you know what? They deserve to wait.
They can dig that stone out of that toilet.
That's right. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a break, if that's okay with you.
Fine.
Okay. It'll probably take
6 minutes.
6 minutes.
Okay, cool.
And then we'll come back and talk more about your.
I definitely want to know a lot about your trips. I've been seeing all these trips that you're going on and stuff, and I don't know if they were all with Dave, but I know some of them were with Dave Schrader, and I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah,
okay.
I definitely would like to know a little more about that, because especially if you could tell what you were doing out there, because I don't remember that getting posted. So
besides delivering kidney stones, yeah, we'll talk about
yes.
it.
I had a kidney stone. That's terrible. I've heard those things hurt.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, they
All right.
do. They do. Go ahead.
We'll be back here in just a couple of minutes.
I just turned off our mics, you know. Hey, we're talking to Michelle Welch. You're listening to Paranormal 411. Jason Scott, David Reagan. We do have a book out. It's on Amazon. You can search for it. East Tennessee Hauntings and Lore. It's a great little coffee table book. Remember, you can find us on paranormal411.org, Paranormal411 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Saturday nights tonight, 10 p.m., we're on WDJY-FM, or you could go to WDJYFM.com if you're not in the Atlanta area. And Michelle will be on next week on WDJY-FM.
Right.
So, but yep. So we'll be back right after this quick break.
Yeah.
Booyah.
Hey, this is Eddie from Legends and Lore Pizzeria in Madisonville, Tennessee. Cool little pizza shop with a paranormal and cryptid theme. Just voted best pizza in Monroe County. Follow us on Facebook at Legends and Lore Pizzeria to get the latest updates and hours, specials, and new menu items.
Thanks for listening to the show. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Paranormal411. Join us on the website at paranormal411.org. It's free to sign up and become a member. All of our upcoming shows are on the guest and events page. You can also listen to past shows on the website as well. And if you like the show and want to support us, you can do that by becoming a premium member for only $2 a month. Thanks for listening to Paranormal 411. Join.
In a world on the edge of oblivion, go to paranormal411.org for all of your paranormal, extraterrestrial, and cryptid needs. This is Jeff Reagan of the band Catalyst. Visit Paranormal 411. Click on our link on the right-hand side to listen to or purchase any of our albums on BandLab.
This long and winding road, it takes me further from my home. Where it leads me, I may never know. My only purpose is to roam, never knowing what the day may bring. Less traveled is the road I'm on. Maybe one day I will change my ways. Till then they call me Vagabond.
Hey, all right, we're back after that.
We'll say quick little break.
Yeah, little quick break, maybe. We're talking to Michelle Welch. I didn't read her bio at the first.
You didn't. I know.
I
You
did
just
not. I
jumped
forgot
right
all
in.
about it. I forgot all about it.
Yeah.
Forgot all about it.
You was excited.
If you just tuned in, Michelle is a psychic medium, author, CEO, mother of 5, and is a licensed attorney who employs her intuitive and psychic abilities to high-profile court cases. She hosts the podcast Soul What on all listening platforms, YouTube, and hosts Tarot Takeaways, a Soultopia Instagram series. Man, she is busy.
I've caught her once or twice on on Soul What. Answered a question one time.
Yeah, so we're gonna bring her back on. Oh, but we do want to thank Catalyst East Tennessee for letting us use their music.
Yes,
and
they're awesome.
Legends and Lore Pizzeria over in Madisonville, Tennessee. Eddie and his wife, they're great. If
Awesome
you're local, or if you're not local, if you're driving through here, just go see them. You won't regret it.
No, definitely won't.
So we're going to bring Michelle back on. Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
So I did forget your bio at the first. I am so sorry.
It's fine. It's interesting because it does say that about cases on there. And I think that was after I wrote, because I never used to put that in my bio. I think it was after I got permission for Spirits Unveiled to write about typical bios. So, and I had said that earlier because, it's primarily, I don't want to get called to the stand. I don't want to get subpoenaed. A lot of people, I'm talking way too much. I'm not even letting y'all ask questions.
No, you're fine. We like the conversation.
That's what a great guest does.
But it's really interesting because my train of thought. I think I have. Hold on. Now y'all are going to have to. I'm not a great guest. I can't remember.
No, you're fine. Because I do it all the time. But we was talking about how you work the cases, how you got with the book Soultopia, you was able to start using cases and stuff like that, and tell people that you did stuff like that.
Yeah, that's okay. So that is right. And so I would never really tell anybody about the cases that I would work. I would tell them that I would help pick juries, so I can watch the jury. Is some of that thing we were talking about earlier, picking jury, a lot of it is the mentalist stuff, watching how they behave, how are they looking at the attorney? How are they looking at me? How are they looking at, our client? But also to bring in someone who's truly a psychic, if you can pick up on some impressions, which I can usually. I am not at all a psychologist. That's one thing I always wanted to tell. That's another thing I tell people who read from me. I am just a psychic. So people think I'm giving them a reading for law, and it'll be like, "Will you give me legal advice?" It'll be like $700 an hour, and I do not make that. So books don't be the business. So, but I like getting that info out there. But as far as with the cases, it's just really interesting how once you do get permission to talk about some of them, people are fascinated by that. I was thinking about the other day. I watch a lot of documentary. It's interesting because I don't watch any paranormal TV. I don't watch any legal TV. I want to watch stuff I don't do.
Right.
mean, like, that's the escape, right? I mean, watch a medical show or something. And so, because I don't know, that they're saying all the wrong words, but when you watch a show, you're like, what are they talking about? And so,
This is obviously a bad actor.
but it's interesting to watch how, or to think about how many people go to think about it. They go to, let's just say, a psychic, an intuitive, and they sit down and they tell that person some of their deepest, deepest, darkest things, dark, light, whatever you want to call it, things about them, right? What people don't realize is, and a lot of readers don't realize, is that there's no what's called a privilege. There's no attorney-client privilege. There's no doctor-patient privilege between a psychic and the person they're reading for. So if I'm wearing my lawyer hat, and I was a litigator, I taught law school to how to be in court, and I wasn't nice. I wasn't nice to my job to win. And so if I found out that Susie Q had gone and seen a psychic, I would subpoena the psychic to the stand. I didn't ever do that, but this is what I would do if I found out. So because there's no privileged communication like between a preacher, unless that's why most, and this is just off the subject, but it's interesting to me.
Yes.
Because people go in and they think they're like confessing to their pastor or their priest or something, and there's a privilege where that person but I can tell people, I will keep your confidences, but legally, and I will, especially because I'm a lawyer and I'm a licensed minister. I paid $10 for that card, but I am a licensed minister, and I would recommend anybody who ever does any readings or anything in this field to get that licensed minister from the Universal Life Church, because I think it went up to $12. And you really are one. Then you can perform weddings, and if you want to spend all weekend doing that, I don't. But I have a bad track record too. They all get divorced, is what my son told me.
Oh,
you're not.
That's not your fault.
Like, I don't know. And so, but have you ever thought about that? And so a lot of readers will come up to me after I give that speech, and they'll be like, I never thought about that. I'm like, yeah, I don't take notes. I don't do anything because I'm an attorney, that's one layer of protection of privilege. And because I'm a minister, I am, even though I don't think of myself that way. It's another layer of protection of confidentiality, right? But a lot of people they'll just tell people everything. And they might be in the middle of a divorce or something. And I'm like, if I was on the other side of your case and I found out you were doing that, I would be getting all of that information, and I'd be subpoenaing that person to court. So that is off the subject totally. I thought of it because I thought there's so many people that go to readers, and I would tell you, and readers do also make the mistake of assuming that everything the person they're reading for is telling them the truth. It's been my experience that we don't always do that. And so that's, again, just all the ethics that I think about, the ethical things that I think about. So I always try to tell my clients, I will keep your confidences, and I don't take notes. And if I were you, I wouldn't record. But that's off the subject, but just a bonus for go to a psychic. You don't want to tell them, about a felony you committed. That's just
Would you tell that to a priest even?
I don't go to a priest,
Okay.
so, but no, I wouldn't.
Would you?
I wouldn't tell them. Nope.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't either.
Nope.
So Joseph Bryant, I think he's on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
He said he wants to know if you've ever had anything revealed in dreams.
Yes. I will not say it's my strongest form of the way getting prophetic dreams, how information, but I have had some purpose revealed in dreams. But I would say my strongest space for information. I will say, who was it?
Joseph.
Joseph, it's very interesting because the people who, like you do, attention to it, that keep a dream journal. And here's what I would recommend. It says on Google dreams. Like this means. If about a snake, it means this. Try to ask yourself, how did I feel during that dream? And then try to dream about it again and try to do a lucid dream where you interject yourself into that dream. Now with snakes, I would not want to interject myself into that dream because I've tried to be cool and like snakes, but I'm not cool and they scare the crap out of me. And so I was fishing one day and the snake just came up under the pier and then went, and I was like, ah, so I'm just so scared. But seriously, interject into the dream, and a lot of really good information that way, and precog information. It is not my strongest way of receiving information. It's not. Do I study it, and is it in my books? Yes. Have I had it? I'll tell you, I have those 10 most common dreams. I always dream that I forgot. You know what the 10 most common ones are. You're late to work or you're late to school.
Yes.
You missed a test. But the one, where are your clothes? I'm like, what? I'm trying that dream. Then you dream of, like, oh, I need this, but normally, no, it's long. I will say, I was talking about the Portland producer. So I think that's ABC that shows on. And she said that I had turned in predictions for them, not on the thing I was talking about, but I had turned in predictions. And I was like, oh, how'd I do? And she said, oh, I thought she'd be like, oh, yeah, a couple were right. She was like, oh, you were right on all of them. I was like, that's not true. There's no way. I mean, I turned in probably about 12 to whatever. I said, I can promise you, if you go look at it again, I was not accurate on all of those. That statistically, I just don't would have been accurate on all of those. She goes, well, you're pretty daggum accurate, except for that strike that we all thought you were.
Mhm.
I will say, sadly, Ukraine, I knew nothing about it because I did dream about that one. And that came to me in a dream, and I did put that that went into the national and to national of those. But you answer to say, I'm not that good at it.
He said thank you, and he was kind of referencing like what Edgar Casey did in his works.
Okay, so Edgar Casey more would put them. He did dreams, but he also would just put them in a certain state to where I'm a sort of Edgar Casey fan. I'm gonna probably make Joseph mad at me now, but I felt like he was kind of creepy. The more I read about him, and so. And it was all this past life stuff. And here's the thing. I do believe that the past life stuff can help you with something that you're struggling with, that it's important. But I've read very carefully a lot of the Edgar Casey stuff. And some of it I buy and some of it don't buy into it. Just like I said with me. People will agree with some of the stuff I say and a lot of it they may not agree with. And that's how it should be. And we don't have to fight it. But Edgar Casey, no. I mean, I don't follow his works.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a big time people thought. I don't know. I think I'm a little bit of a rebel. Just because I've done it, so I do study. I don't want to go to other classes. I'll be in a class. I won't even say a word. And, I teach or that I do this or that. I'll keep my mouth shut the whole time because I want to learn from other people. But I also take, just like I said, what sounds right to me, even from some people who are really, really, really famous. There's just some of it that,
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean,
Good at it.
to use the words you said earlier, right? It's got to resonate with you.
And sometimes in your life, and you're working on something, and and you didn't really connect with that author or that teacher, because I just wasn't ready for that, and maybe that wasn't it for me. It's not that I'm bad. I do question everything I read, and I would expect people question everything I say and that I write also. On this third book, please don't question it. It's turned into War and Peace. This book has. I think it's almost 80,000 words, and I think it's supposed to be 50. Yeah.
Wow.
They've been wanting this like the whole year. So I'm like, I don't know how it like turned into the novel from hell. I mean, it's it's like so long, and so there's so much to say because it's basically a book. Put like this is in the metaphysical field. I don't know paranormal sports, but like in the tarot and all that, they don't like sports very much. So all the little plays like for your playbook on the front, and that my publisher's like, "Do you want your book to sell?" And I was like, "Well, they can watch sports a little bit more." It's the fact that the book is about the fact that this is what's interesting, is we all actually are intuitive in different ways. So if somebody is frustrated because they don't feel that out at the war, the battlefield like you did, and they're frustrated. Because we all receive things in different ways. It's just like we all learn in different ways. And so it's making your playbook about how you see things and how you interpret. Like I talk about your tells, kind of like in poker. When I get this feeling, this is what it means to me, but to someone else, it may mean something totally different. And that way I don't mess up during an interpretation of what I'm seeing. And do the mistake that a lot of psychics make is they want to be that person who gives the, "Oh my gosh, she's so great." Well, it's not about you. That's total ego. So if all I get is I see a fence and I see a coffee cup and I see a hat on your head and it looks like a trucker hat and that's all I see, I shouldn't then try to put that all together and me decide what that means unless I'm information. That's just me guessing. So that's what it is. In law, we call it asking one question too many. It's like you've got that. You want to should have shut your mouth, and that's what a lot of us do. So that's what the book's about. So it's gonna be fun. But
when is that going to be released? Or sounds interesting.
The travel world. And probably the year. I'm getting it in. It's not be serious. Darned in. But it's now I'm just starting to just cut stuff out of there. I'm like, that's not good. That can go because I don't want to have to edit. That can go. But yeah, it's going to be a good book because it'll. You were talking about exercises. I think that some people will skip exercises. I do, and a lot of books I read, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I don't want homework. And I think that if somebody really wants to improve, I've taught these psychic and / mediumship classes for so many years, and I have so fun ways of doing things. So I'll take like one of the chapters is like it's ancient methods. So what's interesting about divination in ancient times, it was kind of to figure out if you were a thief or if you were a witch. So they would like one of them is, I can't remember with a fancy name. It starts with an A, but it's basically they take an axe and they'd almost do like spin the bottle with the axe. And so they'd have people in a circle, and whoever it pointed towards, the handle pointed towards, was the thief. And so then I give a modern, exercise that you can do like for that. So there's some of the ways that people divined and used divination, because we've used it forever. In fact, I say in there, a lot of them is for weather and, for harvesting and for the plants and for the farm, so they could eat. And they would watch, that's watching signs. But it's foretelling, it's weather.
Right.
Weather. When we look into weather, what are we doing? We're future telling.
That's
And
right.
so it's really interesting. The other one is like with witches, they would like literally, they threw you in the water with your everything bound and tied, and it's so opposite. What is it? If you lived, you're a witch.
Yes.
Drowned, and so,
Yeah.
so it's all these different methods in part 2 of the book of how, and then I do take them and do a modern twist on how you could do that exercise. Not the witch one, obviously. We're not going to somebody and throw them in the water, but a modern twist on. But there's in this book, it might be used. Hopefully people will use it because some of it's so much fun. The exercises make people have fun in classes doing it. Make you, it does help with your psychic knowingness, depending on what area you want to grow in. And so with Joseph, what I would do is I probably need to work more on the dream chapter. So, yeah.
Okay.
But it'll get finished at some point.
I know you were talking about people experience or see stuff in different ways, like David. I mean, he's pretty in touch with it, with the spirits. But I do have a story that it reminded me of, that I just thought about it. It could be something. Before my mother passed away, she bought a swing set for my 2 kids. And I was out there. It took me a while to put it up. It was one of those wooden ones with everything,
They're a
and
pain.
I put it up, and when I got it done, there was butterflies all over it, just flying all around it, and that just made me think I could have seen that, could have been a connection.
Yep. Something from your mom.
Yeah, maybe I can't see them.
I believe it was. And here's the thing, we want to discount it. Well, we want to believe it, but then that logical side of us thinks, well, it could have just been this or it could have just been that. Why, if I were you, I'd just take it. And now I'd say, if you want to show me, I'd like to see the butterflies again. Yeah. And that's where I believe we get involved in our own. We don't always have to ask a psychic. We don't have to ask Michelle and trust that I'm telling someone correctly. They're empowering to communicate with mom. And even if you don't see them at small, all those things, I know this for a fact. They do want to show their love to us and give signs. So I would, and you can say that that's what I'm going to do. And now I'm going to, and I would love to hear back in a couple weeks how many of the butterflies, what color were they?
Yellow. Every one of them was yellow.
So yellow butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would ask.
And that's something I'll never forget, because it was just weird to me. But I didn't think it was parent or, spiritual or anything. I just thought it was kind of odd, and I'll probably never forget that vision of seeing that.
Yeah.
It was just weird.
One is
so now
pretty
I can say
special.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say that's what I was talking about earlier. So, and you know this. I mean, I believe the next couple. If you ask CL, she will, and take that as a connection.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can get back to your trip.
Uh-oh. The trip.
The trip.
3 of them.
So
4.
We were at the
well, she went to Prague, and you got robbed in Prague, right? They stole your purse.
So the last day, So the last day, you like, okay, stupid tourist. It is a planned thing here. Watch your stuff because they pickpocket. I mean, they and I'm like, I totally watched that backpack. Well, there's pictures, the little fanny pack side thing I had on. There's pictures of me with that thing totally around the back. It's not in front like it's supposed to. It was all the time, like right in front of me. It was underneath my jacket. No, pictures or where anybody could just take whatever. So I definitely like a mark because I'm safety. My body was buying these drinks and stuff. You know how it's not even, you don't even know how to figure it. And so I was like, what have I paid for it? They were giving me money back. And so then I was gone on that bridge where there's always the lady in white in every ghost story. And follows you. No lady in white following me. I have spirits here, but there's no lady in white. But you know what? I said to my friend, I lost my wallet. And she said, well, we'll find it because it has a tracker. And I was like, yeah. And we watched it all night, just go around all over. And so, yeah, we had that and then the kidney stone. But it was a good trip. It was a very busy trip. We saw probably like 4 castles a day. So I have no idea which castle I saw and which, I mean, I could have been on the moon seeing a castle and it wouldn't, I mean, great series adventure tours is Priya. She's lovely. But that Cinderella castle, for Disney World, that's they based that on this. I think it was in Germany. I think I even get Germany now and the Czech Republic confused, but I think it was in Germany. And once you got there, you had to hike up, right? To like you get out and you have to walk a long ways, then you have to walk another really long ways. And so I start walking up, see this like scooter girl coming down, and she had on like kind of a really cute mint. And I go, $1,000 for that scooter. And then this he's going up and he's kind of looking a little rickety, and I'll give you $500 for that. And so, and then like the horse and carriage, they could do that. I will give you $1,000 in carriage. Finally, he was really strong, and I go, and I had a friend saying, "You'll carry me up to that castle. I'll give you $2,000." She goes, "I don't think I'm even going to make it." And I said, "Forget it." And I just went back down and never saw the Cinderella castle. So
oh man!
I was like, and you know what happens when you do that? The one thing you don't go see is the very best thing. So of course they all come down. And they go, "That was the best castle." And I said, "Of course it was." But I couldn't get anybody to sell me their scooter, so I did not go.
That's terrible.
But anyway, she puts on great tours. They do, and then so what they do is they have like different people will be, like I guess kind of like the ambassador or this whatever person, and so Dave sure was one. The first one went on. It was Dave and Shane Pittman, and it was in Savannah. But I really wasn't with the group. I stayed like by because up late. And I realized they did a whole lot of, because it was just all right there, and they did a whole lot of investigative stuff. Like, so I learned quite a bit. Like I said, I was just super ignorant about the stuff that y'all do, of using the equipment and things like that. So I learned quite a bit, just, really observing and trying to learn this from a different angle than mine. And it's very interesting to me. So that was, and I love Savannah. I loved it
That's
there.
beautiful.
I was
We've been
right
there.
up her. And I mean, I just really enjoyed it. And so we did a lot. But then when we went to I can't remember what was next, but the Germany and Prague. So I was kind of like the second medium on that trip. So I did a lot of readings, and but really, they would break out their stuff, all their equipment. And Dave's been doing it a long time, so he knows his stuff, but it does be a little scary to me. I turn on a light on my head. I'll just be quiet. You're messing up the EVPs. I'm sorry. Or something like that. So I had a lot. Let's just put it. But as far as send things, that's no problem for me. It was keeping everything in your sense kind of straight. I mean, I wrote a whole get on the I did the spray. I would put my headphones or my whatever this Apple thing, and I did the right about what I picked up on the trips. But yeah, they do a really good job.
I thought, because I kept seeing that she was going one place, and I was like, oh. And then all of a sudden you're going somewhere else. And I'm like, wow. And she's going somewhere else. I was like, man, this must be awesome.
Making up for lost time. My kids went everywhere, and all over the world. And I've been like, I'd never even been to Savannah, Georgia. I'm from Texas. I mean, where have I been? And I think I've been to. It's funny, that song, I've never been to Spain. I've been to Spain. I've been to Barcelona, but that's about it. So I made up for it. And we were supposed to go to Egypt. My husband didn't have his passport. So he that in the passport could mark. I'm like, passport. So that's what we did. Which right now probably wouldn't.
Oh, yeah.
There. And GalaxyCon with Dave and some people, and I just didn't feel well. And I don't typically just like cancel on people, but I just was like, ugh. And so and then I did the Germany, Prague, and then we did England. And England there was a I got to be careful because I talked about some of it in here. There was an event I thought it was going to be like ghost hunting or paranormal investigation. There was some of that, but it was also much like the conferences I put on. So it was more just divination conferences. And we put on 3 of those, and it was good. It was, I think, their second year, but I wrote, and I was looking at right here. I was like, a big positive affirmation for myself, because I literally, after that one in England, 4 days later, I was in Portland putting on our divination conference with like over 250 people there. It was totally sold out. So it's just a blur. So
Wow.
yeah, but yeah, I've been on then I just, I'm just going to show that many TV and stuff, I don't really know who people are, but he's very good at, what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Dave Schrader. He
I know.
hosted a show that I loved for a little while, but yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah. So actually, I think um, I when I was on that show before, he's like on that show. Just not. I'm trying to get to know people. There's so many different people, but he's like, no, be on that show. It would be rare for him to be, total. Well, I'm sure he'll be honest, and tell me shouldn't do something. So, but it was interesting on the one to England. A guy, so they had a historian with him. His name's Neil Story. Have y'all heard of him? He's like on the BBC and stuff. Again, I hadn't. He looks like Agatha. Those Agatha Christie novels? Did y'all? There was the female one, and then the Hercule Poirot, or what with the little
mustache.
This guy was fascinating, and it reminded me of your story. So, the battlefield. There were a lot of places where people wood of stone, all these things. But there was this little bit to digestive cookies. Not Then we went out, and I'm like, "Are they really digestive?" And they were like, "No, they just calm that." And I go, "That's bull." And my phone, I have the new. It's like the new, whatever those are called, Apple, whatever these things are called, and
iPhones.
Yeah, that, and it. Sorry, my words are going. It was fully charged, and I have backup charger because I learned in my backpack on that bus. And so Neil takes this out, and it was a story about this guy in 1945. Now, don't even ask me where we were in England. I don't know. But he was accused of being a witch, and they skewered him out in this field. To tell you, I felt like you did. I was dizzy. I was nauseous. It was a day. And Neil, he's just so good, and he's so seriously, and he's telling a story. And then I get back on the bus, and I mean, we were only out the 30 minutes. And it's all mystery in England, literally since 1945, which is not, it's not like way back witch times, right? I mean, it's 45. It was probably like a land grab, which most things like. Mm-hmm. And so I get Neil, and I said, my phone's totally dead. Now I drain batteries, but not from 100 to nothing. And I felt just like you did in that field. I felt dizzy, and it wasn't the cookies. I felt dizzy. I felt nauseous. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was a heaviness, even though beautiful day and everybody was happy and we were out there, and I was just like, no, there is some oppression over this place. Mm-hmm. And then when I saw my phone, I was like, it was charged 100%, before we got off the bus. So that was one of the interesting things. And then when I went to that hellfire place, the caves where all these rituals and stuff took place, I felt stuff, but like I felt it more out in that field than I did there. Right. So it's interesting how we, everybody senses things in different ways, and, how we pick up on things. And maybe we in some way are more by something that has life, or that we're interested in, or, just for some reason we just pick up on it more maybe than someone else. That's why it's really good to talk to other people and see what they're getting on it too, and to see if you're feeling it. I felt the same way at, have y'all been to that, what is it, Hotel Galvez in Galveston? this
Never.
suppose this one room was just so I don't usually believe all the I just when we went to that room, I guess I turned this corner and I started. You don't smell like like if there's fumes from like gas, it doesn't smell right. Like if it's carbon monoxide, but there was something you could smell, and then all of a sudden I got the worst headache ever. And my husband was with me, and he got it too. And so I was like, okay, whatever. And we weren't sure what had happened and where, but that was the room, and we were walking by the room. And so it's just interesting to me that you brought that up, because that's exactly how I respond sometimes when I'm caught off guard. Is I'll get kind of dizzy and a headache too, but I'll get sick to my stomach, and not, but just like people kind of wonder, how do you feel when you get that? And I think people get that. That's my tell, but other people will get different sensations, based on. There's another place in Denver, the Brown Hotel. The history of that is fascinating. There was a love triangle there, and then one dude killed the other dude over this girl. There's a picture of her in the book, and I'm like, y'all. I mean,
were you on crack or what's going on?
But so there's this whole story about it, and but that place. Okay, so here's everybody. If they don't already think I'm crazy, so I stayed one of the times I went. I had to stay in the room for like 2. It's in my book for like. It's when I wrote this book. That's why I can't remember half of what's in it. And so I had to stay there like 2 weeks, and I was like, we've only been here like 2 days, and my husband was like, you haven't left that room for like 2 weeks. But when I went, I try to not read what supposedly happens, right? Because that ruins it. I mean, you already know. Like when you go to Goatman Bridge, don't read, just go. And so, I was getting on the. So I get on, and there's this guy dressed in like old-fashioned elevator. I don't know what you would look like, but it's what I think somebody would look like if they were operating the elevator, like the bounce person. And I was like, hey, hi, whatever. And this is not when I had COVID. And I get off and whatever. And then I get back on. There's nobody in the elevator. I'm like, well, where's the elevator guy? And I was like, this is a really fancy hotel. Like, where's, wow. There's the button.
Did you have a cookie?
And that was a ghost. I mean, and then I looked at it later, and that was one of the ghosts that's there. And I definitely saw that. Usually it's not what I see. I don't see what the hotels say you're going to see. It's like something else, and because half of them are made up, I think. But that was real. I saw that elevator. I mean, that whatever he was. And he was kind of, I wanted to see him again, because I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. And then I didn't see him at all. But that's another cool place. It's downtown Denver.
Really?
The Brown Hotel, and look up the story of that. And look, that sounds so mean. I'm not women. I'm not ladies. I'm not trying to be mean about ladies. I'm just saying, these 2 men, really? Did y'all really have to fight? I was surprised.
Maybe it was a really small town and there was only like 2 girls.
No, it was Denver. They just, it was a very interesting story. I'm sure she was quite beautiful and being quite rude. But I was like, really? You're going to kill over this? And so then supposedly we go in the bar, which is still all the same floor, the same, seats and the same bar and everything. You can see some of that. And I was like, nope, I just need my steak. I don't see anything in here. But I did form an opinion about that they were idiots to fight over that. But other than that, it's interesting to
yes.
that. Did you get a headache out there in that field?
I did. I think I even told Jason. I probably still have it when I was recording the EVP, but I felt like you know, like if you press in right here at the nape of your neck right here where you could feel your collarbone.
Yeah.
Press in right there. I felt that. And then my head just went like I was on a merry-go-round. My head just started spinning. And I got really dizzy and a really bad headache. After we got back in the car and drove off, the dizziness and the sick at the stomach kind of went away, but the headache stayed with me for pretty much the rest of the day.
Yeah. You definitely were picking up on stuff.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
Yeah. It's and a lot of people will say, well, if you put up proper protection, you won't feel that. And what I'll say is, okay, there's some truth to that, but there's also some truth to the fact that some of these, when you're, like I said, when you're talking about the land and the beings of the land and the layers upon layers of, of history of what's gone on there, think about trying to protect from that. It's also certain entities that we try to protect from. People be like, I'm putting a bubble of light around myself. Well, okay, that's great.
yeah,
You put a
awesome.
bubble around yourself. Do it. I'm not saying, and I don't want to be heard that I'm making fun of it, but kind of I'm going to right now because there are some entities that drop kick that bubble to the bottom of the ocean. I mean, you need stronger protection. So you really got to know what you're messing with. And when you're dealing with a land where so many people have passed and there's so many stories, my understanding is on those battlefields, it's not just all that residual looping. It's not just
Right.
that. And I feel like you're picking up on how the land had also absorbed everything too. And
That's what I felt when I was there, was like it was the land, not the people. It was the land is what I was feeling.
yeah, I'm sure. And that would, and for anybody, if you want to know, I'm sure you know this, but that clearing. So afterwards, first of all, it may make you sick for a little while, but you can, like I use a lot of, I said sage, but I use selenite and like black kyanite that looks like a broom.
Mhm.
But selenite, it's like going through security. This is like a big old wand of white gypsum or whatever. And I'll do it just like I'm going through security, and just try to get everything kind of cleared off. But sometimes it takes a while and takes, somebody working on me, like doing Reiki or something besides myself and trying to clear things off because stuff's real. I mean, we're dealing with like a lot of, and I think people do. I'm glad you said that about land because I do think people forget how much energy is held and different from, like I said, all I can say it is like layers of energy in the land.
Mhm.
It's strong. I mean, and
Yes.
we're strong beings too, but that's like super strong. Y'all,
Yeah.
it's one time. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead, tell your story. I was just agreeing with you. I was like, yes.
I was gonna say this selenite. So I always probably told y'all this before, but I always tell people this is like, I'll compare. Like this is the herb you could use. This is a crystal you could use. This is the, whatever you could use, spray or whatever. So I said the sage, but it's like sage. If you can't
Oh.
do sage in your apartment or whatever, and somebody asked me how they would light it.
Carefully.
And I was
How you
really,
light it. It's hilarious.
I was really nice. I was like, well, this is for when you can't light it and you can't have the sage. You can use the crystal, but you don't light it.
That's hilarious. I love it.
Clear.
Uh, we actually have some of that upstairs, and I didn't know that was one thing that could be used for, so I'll actually use it next time.
Absolutely. It's also good for pain.
Okay.
And people will tell you, oh, well, don't get any water on it because it'll dissolve. That is true over time, but I will wipe this down with water. We did a test. It's like on one of our, I don't know, Facebook or something, maybe TikTok, that despot of humanity, TikTok. I, we put selenite into water, and it took forever because people can put it out like overnight, and that's not. It's got suspended. I think it takes worse talk, and I did it.
we,
3 days.
We got
totally destroyed off of Facebook.
oh, yeah.
And when I mean destroyed, they shut down at that time, it was before we changed our name to Paranormal 411. We was Project Dark Corona at the time. We got our Facebook page taken down, and Jason and I's personal page, because we were attached to that page, got taken down. My wife's page, because she was also on that page, and everyone we had that was on there that was helping us, post and do things like that. Every one of their personal pages got closed, and not where you could say I'm in Facebook jail. Nope. It was, they completely deleted us off of Facebook.
Why? What was it?
It was a
Don't say the letter.
Yeah, well, it was a show we was doing, and it was a conspiracy show. And it's something we don't do a lot of anymore. We used to do a lot of conspiracy shows, and it's something we don't do a lot of anymore. But it had a political undertone to it, we'll say.
Yeah, I get it.
And they wiped us off the map.
They did.
Wow.
Completely. Yeah.
Isn't that sad though? I mean, like our free country, now we can't.
And the reason was just one letter.
Yeah.
One letter that was showed.
Yeah. We won't say
or
it.
said.
Yeah, don't say it. I don't know the reason y'all get wiped off. They'll wipe me off.
Everybody.
Well, we have trouble with Meta. Because
really?
Yeah, so our show, like, so what? I think we're revamping. We haven't done it a lot lately because worked with criminals. I was prosecutor at the beginning of my career, right? So they're smart. There are some smart, like, use that or something else. I'd be like, y'all are smart. I don't get this one. I don't get somebody boosting like our podcast on my card, and the Meta thing was set for like when it reaches $400, it gets paid, right? We started getting bills our Soultopia card for like $10,000. So some boosting our stuff, and then they were saying we owed it, and I protested it, and so like for a week, I'm Miss Lawyer arguing, and Roger's like, you're arguing with a bot, right? That is not. And I'm like, yeah, but I am going to kick this bot's butt. I mean, and so of course I'm not, and I get all my evidence. I've got to have this and this and exhibit A, B, C, D, whatever, and that stopped for a while because they kept. I still can't get in the mind of why that would happen. Like, who would want to use our card to boost? And so he changed the card, and the next day it happened again on the new card.
What?
Isn't that conspiracy?
That's crazy. That almost, I don't know.
Yeah.
That almost sounds like someone hacked into the like your Facebook or your whatever, and was just doing it straight out of there then.
Yeah. That's kind of what I intuitively thought, but I didn't want to be like paranoid about it. So we just kind of stopped. But they didn't yank us off of it, but they could have, because I stopped all the charges. I'm like, I'm not paying that. And so now on that, if I wanted to boost anything, I can't, because, you get what I'm saying? And I was like, how can absolutely no sense except for so paranoid sounding, right?
Right.
But they can kind of do whatever they want.
Yes, they can.
It's really funny when I'm in this case, and they're like, no, you're not. You're not gonna win anything. you are wasting your time. I'm like, no, I'm not. Totally
I've got this.
I mean, I was totally like, they didn't care what I had to say. They didn't care what brief I had. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, but it is kind of sad how that happens.
It is.
Yeah. That's what happened to us on Facebook is they shut us down, didn't give us a chance to be able to say, well, what's your problem? What was it? Didn't even tell us what it was. We had to figure it out.
They just said it went against community standards.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure didn't.
And
but-
you know, you always wonder, or maybe you don't, but I would, because you're probably y'all have a really good show, and you're wondering, okay, is this something that tracked this and randomly picked? Or is this, I just thought it sounds paranoid, but my shows were pretty good. We were having, pretty. I thought, but I mean, we were having very well-known guests, and so. And it was just interesting how all of a sudden, why would he? I think it was just Facebook. I just had to let it go. So, but yeah, I don't know. You have to be really careful now what you're saying.
You do. Free speech isn't free.
Yeah, TikTok. I thought you could do anything on TikTok because I see so. And then I was doing some readings, which you can't read on TikTok and be ethical. Okay, you just can't, unless you're just giving a general reading, like card 1 means this, card 2, and pick a card. But if people ask questions, it's just going to not be ethical, 100%. And so I was sweating. I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't ethical. I got to get off of here. And then I just said a word that's not did bad. I called myself something. Then my husband looked at me and said, then this is how I am. I'm like, well, what did you say? And do it said, and I said it again. And
oh no!
Like this, and I go, what? And I go, oh, y'all, I wouldn't say, and I start time. I wouldn't mean that. And then it comes across the thing, you are suspended from TikTok.
You said Beetlejuice 3 times.
Exactly. And he goes, what is it with you? Because you like this, why did you have to say it like 3 more times? I'm like, because I didn't know what you meant. You could have said it once and maybe twice. You just hold deeper and just in it. And I was like, so yeah. And this could get what I said, because I guess it's it's not but I call myself, and I mean, no, it wouldn't be that, but it's not horrible. I can be quiet, I'm doing it again. And but
you can't say that, but there's half naked women on there that can do anything they want.
I said the other day, I said, y'all, well, nobody wants this. I mean, but I'm like, that too, I mean, I don't counters because I'm older. Is that what's going to go on a grave? Had
right.
So, but
that's
then
it.
She said this on TikTok. And so, seriously, but watching some community, I'm like, oh, you look good. But you go to completely next. Maybe you would be like, yeah, you look, maybe you should do that. But but don't say a word 3 or 4 times that because then you'll get suspended from TikTok. I don't get it.
We got one letter.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, it was terrible.
Like what y'all were doing.
Yeah. Well, when we were the other show, we had a lot of people. We were it was
Yeah.
we have still not built back up to where we were then at this point.
Yeah.
You feel like you're
Yeah.
going to?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You are.
I think so. And
I just drew a card.
oh,
You are. Yeah. I should have asked your permission. Draw a card.
no, you don't have to ask my permission.
I do ethically.
Oh,
Yeah, I
you
feel like
have
for
it all the time.
on the defense, you sort of still are kind of like, oh, got to be careful, got to be careful. I think y'all
Yes.
need to be who you are and find out a way to be who you are the way you were, and not be scared to be who you are. So figure out how that is, because what made you successful, I mean, you are successful. I'm not saying that, but that
Right.
aspect that you said we can't really do that anymore,
Right.
it needs to be out there though.
Right. Yeah.
There's your reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Thank
the card.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, awesome. What is that as?
So it's the 9 of Wands. So
None
this
of
is,
wands.
and it's projects, and it's like it, but the guy's looking like he's holding on. He's still looking around like, can I do this? Can I not do this? And it's like it's brings you. So now you need
Okay.
to move forward and to be who y'all want to be, and just don't say that letter.
Yes. Yes. we when we got proposition from WDJY FM, which is a radio station out of Atlanta, Georgia, and we kind of talked about it for a little bit, and we're like, that's where we was wanting to go. I mean, not saying that we don't want to do this,
Yeah.
but if you can expand out and also be, doing terrestrial radio at the same time you're doing this. And that's what they want us to do. My job, I'm trying to get another job. I'm a long haul truck driver. That's what I do for
Oh
a living.
wow.
And so I'm gone sometimes for 2 weeks at a time. And we can't do all of the live shows like they want us to do. They want us to do at least 1 hour show a week. That's what they want.
Mm.
And so I'm in the process of trying to get another job. And hopefully, they told me it was going to be 1 to 2 weeks and they would get back with me. And it's been over a month now and I haven't got nothing back. But this comes in, then we can start doing this WDJY FM live at the same time we're doing this. So we'll be live here and live on terrestrial radio at the same time. And that'd be awesome. And
I
it
get
wouldn't
both. You're going to be juggling both, so it will happen. Because I got the 2 of Pentacles, and it's kind of like how it's going to be. It's still going to be a bit of a juggle for you, but I didn't ask about the date when you're going to find out. But I do get that you. I also feel like it may be something where you are going to. I would ask if there can be a time, because I feel like at times there's going to be a stretch with this new job where you may have to be gone, like you're not on the road like you are all the time, but there's a stretch of time where they may have to give you a break. Like that's what I'm getting. Like there'll be time. I'm not. I can't wrap my head exactly. But you might want to ask that kind of clause. But I do get you're getting it, and you're going to be juggling both, and you will be able to do it.
awesome. Thank you.
Y'all let me know when that happens, because I know
I
it will.
will.
I feel like I get 2 cards though, 2 cards with water and with they've got a body of water in it. So I don't know what that means for you. A lot of times that would used to mean like traveling over water or traveling, being around the water.
It's funny because this job is right on the Tennessee River.
What it is, because
Yeah.
literally both of the cards have had water in them, and one of them is actually you're going to be going out of it. It'll be a little rough at first, and so I think you'll get that job.
Wow.
I would make sure there's something where you may have to sometimes be gone a little bit of time, and then you just have to tell them, put that in the contract that that there might be you have an out for that at some point. But is that Tennessee River the one that is in Savannah? What is that river back like that Savannah backs up to in Georgia?
I'm not for sure where that, because the Tennessee
Or is
flows
that
out of
now? I mean, it's gotta
Tennessee
open up.
flows into the Mississippi.
into the Mississippi.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
Well, look up the one in Savannah, Georgia, because I was on that hotel, and the hotel was right there, and they used to bring in like what's it called, indigo and all kinds of stuff on that. Well, they are widening that, and it's going all the way to Nashville. And so
Oh,
all of a sudden now, like the real estate agents and everybody are like, for the not on that beautiful the grid part of Savannah, but I mean, like Savannah's going to start blowing up because whatever that river is behind that hotel right there in Savannah, right on the grid, where they have the ferry and everything.
mhm.
That river is about to be expanded, and I'd like to know if it's the Tennessee river, and somehow that ties in with everything with you.
Really? That's crazy because the company that I'm going to go working for does have barge systems that they use to go up and down the Tennessee River and everything else.
Yeah.
yes.
So
Yeah, they do.
this is all good news for you. Yeah, it's going to work out. But I know that whatever that thing is, that body of water that I was on, that will be to I think it to flow into it, and now so it's going to become a pretty big part of whatever. I know I don't know the right words, but
Wow,
look it up.
that's
'Cause it's
awesome.
gonna have
I
something to do
will.
with that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is.
I love it.
Hopefully we can get her done when you get stable.
When I'm not gone all the time. Yeah. That'll
I
be
hope
nice.
we can all get stable. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yes, it
Would.
would. Yes, it would. It would definitely be awesome.
Yeah.
We were promised our Nielsen FM numbers were supposed to hit on the 6th of this month, but then they told us before the 6th of the month that our Nielsen FM numbers weren't coming in till the 30th of this month. So now we're still waiting for our FM numbers, and I have a feeling that they're really good, but I'll wait. I don't know.
Well, y'all are just so easy to talk to and so natural, and that's what people want to listen to. They don't want to listen to people like talking at them. And so
Yes.
I'm sure that people let your followers, and I mean, I followed you today, but I have to always figure out where I'm following everybody and where I listen to stuff.
Yes.
But because I get confused a little bit on all the platforms, even when
Uh-huh.
I'd
There's
be
so
like,
many.
they were like, where do I listen to? I'm like, oh, let me get out my notes. But yeah, um, but yeah, I think that job that yeah, it's that's good. That whole job. Look, I wish I had somebody in here knew what that thing was, but behind it had indigo and something else, and they are widening that canal, and it's from Savannah, Georgia, and it's connecting to the Tennessee River, and it's a huge big.
What's funny is that we do have a canal. I'm trying to remember the name of it, and it's just past Nashville or just before Nashville. And that canal comes off the Tennessee and goes all the way down um, itself to the Mississippi also. And I'm wondering if that's the same canal that they might be bringing it into and
I
connecting it.
wonder. And
Yeah.
apparently they're, real, like I said, even like anybody who's in real estate or wants to be, this is going to get into it in Savannah because all those outskirts, like the suburb things or whatever you call them, are about to be exploding because of all the new jobs.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
And
good.
so, but all that ties together when you said the barge and whatever that, like I kind of have that good. Yeah, this is good for you. So I'm happy for y'all. You'll get to do that now.
Yes. That's something we've wanted to do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Y'all be
We've been
so easy to talk to. And so, I mean, seriously, that's what people want. I mean, I was talking to my daughter, she was at UT and I was like, how much do you actually listen to, these various things? And she's like, all the time, it's funny. Just talk, and so it's opposed to trying to be so serious and everything. She goes, she was at UT and then she was in law school, but when she was at, she said everybody, UT being nurses, she said they all to different, even radio or podcasts, but they want them to be just like y'all, just very, very natural and just easy to listen to and funny. And serious, tell them stuff they need to know, but also just, not take themselves too seriously. So
Right.
that, I feel like that. Yeah, I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you for the reading. That was awesome.
Yeah, the unsolicited reading. That's
Yeah.
talking
I
about
love
and I broke the rule. So,
it. That's okay. Sometimes I think just you feel it and you just need to do it,
Yep.
I want somebody to Google that thing, but I'm trying really hard to not let down on my phone and Google that.
I know. That's what I was thinking too. Should I go?
Yeah,
I've been trying to, but can't find it.
like you'd sit on that's cool in Savannah because they have like rooftop bars and stuff. So you'd sit and then you just look out over that, whatever that thing is. And then when I go downstairs later at night, downstairs, and so and I don't know, and that's why there's about to be in that city like an explosion of people moving in.
Wow.
Very
Me and
interesting.
the wife went there on vacation. I think it was about 5 years ago. We did a ghost tour.
Yeah.
I had just broken 6 ribs
Oh,
and broke 2 vertebrae in my back. And, and people were amazed because I was doing this 5-mile walk around Savannah doing this ghost tour. And, but it was fascinating, and it's a supercharged place, I think. It feels just you could feel it there. It's awesome. I
you,
wanna go back.
yeah, I want to go back too. Yeah, it's a really cool, and I love staying right on that. Dadgummit, the minute I get off of here, but I gave the reading without knowing anything about your, so that's cool that your
It
whole
is.
thing. But yeah, we'll have to find out.
Is it the front river?
Sounds right because it's Front Street, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Savannah's largest channel.
Has been extensively widened and deepened to provide deep water access for the port of Savannah.
But then it's going to connect to Tennessee somehow, river even more.
Wow.
It's going to be a major, what do you call it? Port? Whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Wow.
who knows? It might be that you were with just connected with that somehow. Because weird that all came up.
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating how you was able to pick up on that, and And that's what the job is it's out on the Tennessee River. So that's neat.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy for y'all.
Well, before we let you go, it's about that time. We want to thank you for one, but
Thank
we
you very
want you
much.
to give out all your information to our listeners, and maybe they can connect with you.
I would love that. The best way to get a hold of me is pretty simple. It's from going to Michelle Welch, and that's like the grape juice or whatever, Welch, .com. And pretty much from there, you can get everything. We do have conferences 3 times a year. We have the fun work. We have one in Dallas, and all of that information about my stores you can get there from Michelle Welch, but get to Soultopia is the name of my business, and then we have a bunch of conferences too. But Michelle Welch, and I do have the 2 books. I do readings. I definitely recommend if you want to get a reading that you email my assistant. Don't just try to get on and see that they're all booked. Just email her, and I'll, especially if you're watching this show, I will definitely get you in. And then my books are sold through our store or Amazon. But michellewelch.com is the easiest way to just get to all the stuff that we do. Yeah.
And
So
I have to say I have watched her show before too. So it's really good. It's informative. Both times I've watched it, she had some people on and they were talking about the tarot and all different kinds of stuff, which is really fascinating to me. So yeah.
we had some, we were really, and we're trying to revamp, kind of figure out what we want it to be. We had, we play it in our stores a lot. Everybody says this, but I'll just say it. Matthew McConaughey's been on, and we've had quantum physicist on, Hakeem Olushey, who wrote a great book. Just all kinds of authors that I find that use their intuition in different ways. And so my friend that, was on that, owns the Kansas City Chiefs. And so, and talked about predicted running the Super Bowl before, but then it just came to a grinding halt because I was of that meta stuff. And so we're going to reconsider what do we want to do with that show. So it's on a bit of a break right now, but all the old shows are really good that are on there.
Yeah, I watched the Matthew McConaughey one.
Yeah,
it's good.
I watched his special that he did where you had to sign up for it and watch it on TV with him and all kinds of other really big name people and stuff. And I actually watched it because I'm really into all that kind of stuff. And it was really good. It was his book is fascinating too.
His book is great. And now he has the kids book out. And when he didn't run for governor, I wrote, and not that I'm like fast friends with him or anything, but he was born in Uvalde, but he grew up in Longview, which is my hometown. And so I knew his brothers better actually, because my husband's younger than me, and Matthew's my husband. Brothers were older. Well, the one, and I think I dated one of his brothers for a day, and then I stole him or something like that. But he's
you should have saw that coming.
Yeah, right. Never would have needed it.
Right.
But I was always like, met him on the show. So I was like, typical lawyer, they're all like that, whatever. So I was like, really is pretty nice, and some children's books. Yeah, but we're going to try to revamp that show. So it'll be coming back, but it's the same as very different, not as bad as what happened with y'all with Facebook and everything. It's just almost like, how can you just control my life like that? So I just took a step back from it for a while, and we tried to go on YouTube.
I understand. Yeah. I just barely got back on Facebook myself. Everybody else got reopened up new Facebook accounts. I think I took 2 years almost off, a year and a half or so before I even made another Facebook account. I was just like, nah, I'm done.
Well, because it feels very invasive, right? I mean,
It
just
does. Yeah, all those pictures you had, all the stuff that you had, the memories you had up there, and then they just erase every bit of it, and it's gone.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, it's our
Well,
free world we live in.
they're coming though. So
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Michelle, for coming on.
Thank y'all so much. I really enjoy
This-
talking to you guys. It's really, really great. Y'all, I really like your show, and I really look forward to hearing you on the radio and all those good things that are coming. Thank you so much for having
Awesome. Next, Jason will send you
Yeah, the link
the
to
link to the wdjyfm.com.
Okay.
To the radio. So then next week, if you wanna send it out to everybody and whatever, you
I will.
can, and you can listen to it yourself, and you'll be able to hear yourself on the FM radio show.
Oh, thank y'all so much.
Thank you. You have a good night. You have a good weekend.
Y'all too. Talk to you
All
later.
right.
All
All
right.
right. Good night.
Right.
That was a good show.
It was a good show.
That was a good show.
Michelle Welch.
Yes. That was a good conversation. We wanted to say
Yes.
good. Yeah, it was a great conversation.
It was.
And but yeah, that was Michelle Welch, everybody. And she's got a bunch of books. She's got a couple books out. She's writing another one. Hopefully it'll be out by next year.
Yeah, it sounds good too.
Yes. Yeah. It's crazy.
So we want to thank everybody that stayed with us and watched the show and listened. We're on Spreaker, Podbean, Apple, any platform you want to choose, we're probably on there.
Yeah. By our means or someone else's, I guess. But
yes.
But we're usually on all of them. Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, thank you. And go if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube, we'd like for you to.
Please. Yeah.
So that'll help us out a lot.
Yep. And I should be home in time, so we should definitely be able to have a show next week too. Same time, same bat channel.
Next week is the Halloween party.
Oh man,
yeah,
I keep forgetting.
We got an off week next weekend.
So anybody lives in the area, we have a huge Halloween party every year. Huge.
Out here in the bunker.
Yeah, we invite people to the bunker and we get down.
Going to be Halloween contest. We usually do some karaoke.
We do karaoke,
and I've been practicing quite a bit. Yes.
I'm terrible. I mean, I shatter glass every time, but but it's fun. It doesn't matter. It's fun. So we always give out. We have trophies made every year for costumes and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
so
it's the Reagan annual Halloween bash.
Bash, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is our 6th year of it. So
yeah,
we try to do it a little bit better every year. So if we can. So, but want to thank everybody for listening. Want everybody to have a good weekend.
I do want to mention Bo Carey's history tours before we get off the show.
If you're local.
Yeah.
If you're local, Bo Carey's history tours are awesome. We was just on one last night. We try to do at least one every year if we can. He's got a bunch more. They've actually been so sold out that they created new ones.
Yes.
You could look on our Facebook pages because every time he uploads new dates and new times and stuff like that, we always try to make sure that everybody could see them. And so definitely, keep up with that. But if you're in the Loudoun County area and you want a good, fun, family friendly thing to do and learn some history, because there's a lot of history.
Yeah, I took my 2 young kids last night on that one. It's the first one they've ever been on, and they enjoyed it.
Yes. Yeah.
They wasn't scared out of their mind. I mean,
right.
He don't scare people, but he does tell the true story of this town, and he knows his stuff.
Yeah, he's good. I mean, he's fantastic. So
if you want to go, you can go to BoCareyHistoryTours.weebly.com and sign up for one of his tours, or we can tell you the dates are October 20th at 7 p.m., October 31st at 6:30 p.m.,
Mm-hmm.
and October the 29th there'll be a full moon cemetery tour
Yeah,
at 7:30 p.m.
that one will be fun.
Yes. And he added some new dates because all those were sold out. October 30th, Ghost Tour. October 31st, Awake the Dead Cemetery Tour.
Ooh.
Yeah, that would be good.
And Susan reminded me too right now. Madisonville has ghost tours on Friday and Saturday nights, and their tickets are on sale at the Madisonville City Hall.
Oh,
And it's pretty much kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
You walk around and it's a history/ghost tour.
wow.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the ghost stuff that's talked about, Eddie done most of the investigations for
Yeah, Eddie
at Legends and Lore.
Legends of Lore Pizzeria in Madisonville.
Yeah.
Best wings in the state
They are.
to me.
They're freaking huge. They're like the size of your head.
Yeah, I love the honey sriracha garlic honey
Mhm.
sriracha.
Yeah. And if you're brave, he's got some you have to sign waivers for.
Oh yeah,
Just to let you know.
I'm not brave.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, I guess we won't be having a show next week because of the party.
There'll be one on the radio on
You know,
WDJYFM.com
That's
at 10 p.m. next Saturday.
You know, we could maybe do one on Friday if you wanted to.
We'll see.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know what plans
People have.
the other half has.
I got you. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah,
They're listening right now
I
too.
know they're probably listening.
They're just upstairs like, yeah, we'll wait till you get off the air.
All right. Thank you for joining us and listening, and we hope to see you maybe next week. If not, for sure, we have Dr. Christopher Macklin on the 28th of this month.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about AI and some of the, the things associated with it.
Yeah. And, he's a really good guest. You could go back on and listen to when we've had him on before and stuff. And he's really knowledgeable. So yeah, I can't wait for this talk. I'm on the fence about AI stuff anyway. You know what I mean? Like it could do some good, but I think
It's
in the
gonna
wrong
end us
hand,
all.
in the wrong hands, this is the Terminator.
Hey, let's see if we can listen to a little bit of this bumper music on the way out.
Okay, let's do it.
Oh, yeah. So remember, paranormal411.org. Go to the website, sign up, become a member. It's totally free.
Don't cost nothing.
We'll see you next time.
Have a good night. Have a good weekend.